Wild Time podcast.
Take two.
Take two. Yeah, we just had some technical difficulties, and I'm very frustrated at my phone at the moment. But top 3 horror.
Thanks, Putin.
Yeah, I appreciate the way you did my phone. Top 3 horror icons with an honorable mention. We were rocking and rolling, dude.
Yeah.
We were halfway. We were getting into the meat and potatoes of the episode, and I looked up, and Jerry is in the middle of just telling his, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on here, wait.
Nobody's going to see this.
Yeah, and I was like, dude,
it
ain't working. So we're going to move along kind of faster on this, and I hate to. I'm going to let him go first with his honorable mention, and finally get to do some love here, hopefully.
Yeah. All right, my honorable mention, again, is Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi played Dracula in 1931. A lot of people might not know that. He played him on the stage, and Lon Chaney was supposed to play Bela Lugosi in the 1931 Universal movie, but sadly he got cancer. He couldn't do that, so they went through many different actors, and they gave it to Lugosi, and it was his path to stardom. It also, sadly, was the end of his career because he was typecast, and he only played Dracula twice on screen. A lot of people don't know that, but the first was the movie Dracula, and he played him in Abbott and Costello Meet Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
But he spent the rest of his career trying to not be Dracula, and he did some really great horror movies. White Zombie is one, and again, he was offered the role of the Frankenstein monster, which was Universal's next big movie after Dracula, and he turned it down because he thought there wasn't enough lines. He didn't want to do the makeup, and it basically handed Boris Karloff the reins to being the guy, the horror star. So his career sadly ended with he was doing Summer Stock. He ended up with Ed Wood, Plan 9 from Outer Space, which I think it's a great movie, but I digress. But I'm going to go with Bela Lugosi because my honorable mention, he's a guy that, when you look back at that era, a lot of people say, well, Karloff or Chaney. I think Lugosi was the best, and I think he should be honored as such. So, again, we're going fast. So.
Well, I mean, you did a really good job there putting it out. I mean, you got the gist of how important Lugosi was, man, as Dracula. And that was, like I was telling you earlier, he could have been on most people's main list. I mean, and the next guy, the guy I'm getting ready to tell you about, I think the same. And I'm going to go, my honorable mention is going to be Alfred Hitchcock. Hitchcock, I mean,
brilliant
Psycho,
director.
The Birds, Psycho was a game changer.
Rear Window, Vertigo, the guy didn't make a bad movie.
Well, Psycho was the first movie that basically said this good-looking young guy over here that seems nice and innocent could be the one that when you turn your back, put a knife to your throat and cut your throat.
And Anthony Perkins played that perfectly.
Yes.
Perfectly.
Oh, man, I loved when he would talk to himself in his head. I always enjoyed that. But Perkins did a good job throughout the series.
My favorite scenes were when, somebody would show up at the Bates Motel, and they're questioning him, and he just came across as, oh well, gee willikers, shucks, I don't know, and us as the audience know the truth. So,
I always enjoyed the scene where he was sitting there and the fly lands on him.
Wouldn't harm a fly.
Yeah. That was such a good ending.
Yeah.
But Alfred Hitchcock gave us Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Yes.
The short stories, the films, and I enjoyed it as a kid. It scared me with the theme music coming on. It came on right before NWA Power Hour, which was wrestling, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Then you had Freddy's Nightmares that came on right after that. So that was such a good Saturday night.
I mean, it goes back again. I love shows like that, and I know you do too. The anthology, Tales from the Crypt. The Crypt Keeper would open the show, but then we got the story. Freddy would open the show, then we got the story. Twilight Zone started it all. Rod would open the show, Rod Serling, and then we got the story. And Hitchhiker, Bradley
Bradley
Roberts.
Roberts.
Yeah.
Man, Hitchhiker is such an awesome theme.
Yeah.
If you don't take anything away from this episode tonight, go to YouTube and type in the Hitchhiker intro and listen to that theme.
And I would beg to differ. The most awesome TV theme ever is Tales from the Dark Side.
That's the scariest by
Another,
far.
yes.
I'm not going to say that the Hitchhiker is really cool, but Tales from the Dark Side, when I would hear that come on, I would run and go get in the bed with Eddie Long.
Yeah, you wouldn't
At
even watch
16
the
years
episode.
old.
You wouldn't even watch the episode. And the episodes weren't really that scary.
Gosh.
It was just the intro that was. So, I got all those.
I would love to have that monologue of what he says.
Man lives in the sunlit world of what he believes to be reality.
Well, I might just get that. But we give our honorable mentions, and I think they're better than most people could even imagine.
Yeah, either one of those guys. Bela Lugosi, Alfred Hitchcock, you could put those at number 1 on your list, and I'd be like,
I can see that.
okay.
But I'm going to let you go right in. Get right into the...
Okay. We're going with horror icons. So, again, this is something he and I talked about. This could be a director. This could be an actor. This could be a writer. So...
Or a character.
Or, well, I didn't think that.
You
so,
can.
I went with... I went with my criteria there.
Okay.
We'll see where he goes with it. So my number 3, and the reason Bela Lugosi was my honorable mention is because great actor, played a role so perfect that sadly people are only going to remember him for that role, and he had so much more. So my number 3 is a person that fell into that same trap, but again, even though he's known for that role, he can do so much more. So my number 3 is Robert Englund.
The icon.
The icon. And I was fortunate enough, my beautiful wife, Natalie, he was at Scarefest, and I just saw he's going to be there again this year.
I think that's mine and Max's plans to get down there to meet him.
I hope you do, because one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life.
Remember your interview on air with him?
I did, yeah.
That was a big deal, man.
About 10 years ago, I was able to interview him over the phone, and the same then. Just you don't get, when you talk to him, you don't get the vibe of I'm talking to Robert Englund, because within seconds he's one of us. He's a fan.
It's like with Alice Cooper. You always like get to interview the nicest dudes in the
Well,
genre.
I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky when it comes to interviews, but Robert Englund is a guy. Again, the show V. You know, a lot. Some people show up to autograph signings in Wilde costumes from that show.
Well, Max loves Freddy Krueger, but he's huge into Stranger Things, and he would rather meet him do the Stranger Things. It's just
It's a whole new,
which is awesome.
Victor Creel in the new season of Stranger Things.
Seems like he was on Supernatural too.
He was on set. Robert's one of those guys, unlike Bela, bless his soul. Robert realized, okay, I'm Freddy. That's what people are going to know me as. But he used that to...
He embraced it. He didn't. It was like he was like, don't look at me like that. You know, he embraced being Freddy Krueger.
And we saw it with the remake. You know, Jackie Earle Haley, again...
Wonderful actor.
We said that before. He was not what was wrong with that remake. But again, it's the same as Bela Lugosi. Other people have played Dracula. Gary Oldman was great as Dracula.
And Bram Stoker.
But when you say Dracula, you see Bela Lugosi. And from now until the end of time, I don't care. You know, Brad Pitt can play him. When you say Freddy Krueger, you think Robert Englund.
Yeah, and it's going to be that way forever.
Yeah, and I always, there's a great documentary, if you guys haven't seen it, it's called Never Sleep Again. It's like 8 hours long, so you got to be a fan. But Wes Craven, God bless his soul, said, no matter what I do from here on out, when I die, it's going to be the guy that created Freddy Krueger. And when Robert dies, no matter what he does from here on out, it's going to be the guy that played Freddy Krueger. And to me, I mean, you said characters, I wasn't going that route, but anybody that knows me, that's my favorite horror series, that's my favorite horror character. So my number 3, the one, the only, Robert Barton Englund.
Well, I'm going to hop on that train a little bit, and I was thinking when I did this.
Sorry. can I throw one more thing
Go
in?
right. The floor is yours.
We went to Southern California. My in-laws were great enough to take us out there, and we were on one of those like bus trips where they're like, okay, that's the Whiskey at Go-Go. That's and the guy that was doing the tour, I said, can we get off to go see the Elm Street house? It's on 1428 Genesee Avenue, right off Sunset Strip. And he said, oh, they tore that down. And there were people on the bus looking, and I was like, yeah, stop the bus. No, you don't know what you're talking about. And I got a picture of that, and when Adam posts this video, I will upload that, me outside of the Elm Street house. One of the greatest, other than meeting my wife and the birth of my daughter, that's one of the greatest moments of my life.
Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to stay in.
I know that's sad, but
No, I know how that goes. Listen, I'm going to stay. My third pick is going to be Wes Craven because of all the work he done
Yeah.
and how great it was. When he reinvented the genre in '96 with Scream,
yes.
he started in the early '70s with Spit in a Grave, Last House on the Left,
Last House on the
one of the
Left.
greatest remakes.
And then
What's
The
that?
Hills Have Eyes. Yeah,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
yeah.
I mean, and that's just a few. Wes Craven was
and
a Serpent and Rainbow. Wes Craven.
Serpent and the Rainbow was Wes Craven. Shocker was
Oh,
Wes
yeah.
Craven. People Under the Stairs. Yeah. But the precursor to Scream, if you really think about it, was when he returned to Freddy. Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that he said that movie was made for the people that make scary movies, and Scream was made for
The people
the
that watch it.
fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, his resume is second to none.
Yeah.
I mean, you can really just put it up against anybody's. And when Scream was such a big deal, because how many sequels has it spawned?
Oh,
I
they're
mean,
still making.
think about Nightmare on Elm Street, the '80s. All right.
Yeah.
You had the '70s with The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, and then the '90s with Scream. I mean, for 3 decades,
Yeah.
he put something out that was monumental to the genre.
And the Scream movies, he up until his death, he directed all
Mhm.
those. So I mean,
And I mean, just a soft-spoken guy. I mean, you can go watch his interviews.
he was an English professor.
Yeah, I mean, you could sort of like my man Gunnar Hansen, just real.
Yeah.
I mean, just real smart. Philosophical, almost speaking.
That was one of those, like you did a video, Celebrity Deaths.
Yeah.
I was working at the movie theater at the time. Yeah, when I found out Wes Craven died, that one
Hit
that
pretty
hurt.
hard.
That hurt.
But I'm going to move on because this is like a time bomb up here. This phone, we don't know how much time we got left. So Wes Craven's my third, and that's.
Great third.
I mean, I think he did pretty well for himself.
Yeah. My number 2 is a director. He's also a person that writes the music for all of his movies, and he's wrote most of them. And if not for him, Wes Craven would have been my number 2. But my number 2 is John Carpenter. And the reason I picked John Carpenter is not just because he gave us Michael Myers. It's not just because, he gave us so many great movies, but I love great directors, whether it be Tim Burton, Richard Donner, Wes Craven. If I watch a movie, I can tell within 2 scenes if John Carpenter directed that movie. And I love the fact that he does the musical scores as well. And
Man, his stuff in Halloween 3 was good.
yeah, he didn't direct that movie, but you look at the score, and even movies that he doesn't think are good, like the original Fog, is one of my
brother-
favorite horror movies ever.
Jason loved The Fog as a kid.
Yes.
Loved it.
Yes, great movie. And I mean, you can go on down the line. Christine, They Live. In the Mouth of Madness, I think, is his most
Escape from New
underrated.
York.
Escape from New York. Yeah, he's not just a horror guy. This guy, The Thing, really. You could call it horror.
It's
but
almost like an Alien. I mean,
Yes.
action is.
I think, and the fact that he does the music for those movies as well, because those movies are shot so well, the stories are so well written, and then you look at the music score, and they're so well done. Each and every one of Prince of Darkness is another one. They Live with Roddy Piper. I mean,
I'm telling you, Halloween 3's score ranks. I mean, it's almost like a trance. I mean, I like it.
Yes.
I like it's
Yes.
techno-ish. I mean, you just got I think it makes the movie good. I mean, a lot of people don't like Halloween 3. I do.
I love
think
Halloween
I think people
I
start
love
to
it.
open up to Halloween 3 and Friday
Yeah.
the 13th Part 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. I think these movies are starting to get a little more love on it.
Nobody in the comments will probably agree with me, but like Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, is my second favorite movie in the entire Jason series.
Mikey Tackett's also.
Because it was different. It was different. It wasn't the same exact story. But going back to Carp, man, I love the fact that, and Kentucky boy too, by the way. He was born in New York. He grew up here in Kentucky in Owensboro.
Owensboro.
Or Bowling Green.
Yeah.
You're right, Bowling Green. But you know, he's one of those guys that the name might not stand out to everybody, but if you start listing his work, oh yeah, I know who that guy is, you know. And I hate to think, but it's going to be the Wes Craven thing. When John Carpenter dies, it's the guy who gave us Michael Myers, but he gave us so much more than that. And again, if you take anything out of this, we're doing a short one tonight. In the Mouth of Madness is
another 90s.
Yes, great movie. Sam Neill from Jurassic Park is in that. Just unbelievable movie. And the new Halloween movies, if you think, oh, well, these are better than some of the sequels, that's because Carpenter
Produced
is involved. Yeah, he produced them. And he did the music for them. So, yeah, if these music scores for these latest Halloween movies
seem similar.
That's why. Yeah.
Oh.
So, that's Howard Hamlin.
Yeah.
By the way, Better Call Saul series finale Monday night.
So we've had Wes Craven and John Carpenter on here.
Yeah.
And
Wes is my second favorite.
okay.
I would have picked him, but
I'm getting ready to put.
Body Bags. I'm sorry. I don't mean to
I
interrupt
watched
you.
that one.
There was an anthology. It was going to be Showtime's version of Tales from the Crypt, and it was John Carpenter's Body Bags. There were 3. It was a movie, but there were 3 different stories, and the first one is called The Gas Station. Robert Carradine that played Lewis. No, it was his brother from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh.
And then Stacy Keach is in one. Mark Hamill's in. Toby Hooper directed one.
Really?
As a matter of fact, yeah, you need to check that out.
I do. I didn't even know anything about that.
Yeah.
Body Bags.
But yeah, great. John Carpenter. Again, he could very easily be my number 1, except. So go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just gonna shoot from the hip. Say Stephen King.
Oh. Well, it's unanimous.
I felt like Bela Lugosi just got a stake to the heart on that.
It's unanimous then. It's
unanimous.
unanimous.
That's my second. But
I
mean, we don't even have to say a lot, basically.
All right, well, you go ahead, and then I'll tell you why he should have been number 1.
Okay.
Because I know who your number 1 is.
Stephen King gave us countless. The books. I mean, the books.
I ain't gonna say a word.
Arthur.
The elephant. Yeah.
One of the greatest authors of all time. I mean, Pet Sematary, Cujo, Maximum Overdrive. I could just keep going.
Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum
Curtis, are you dead?
Maximum Overdrive is one of my favorite movies ever.
Oh yeah, me too.
I mean, Stephen King, Creepshow. And the thing I love about Stephen King, even though he's, great author and all, I love that in his movies he makes cameos.
Yeah.
I love
Hitchcock.
Yeah, he did that also. But Stephen King he's responsible for a lot of nightmares. I mean, How many kids were scared of Pennywise as a child? Tim Curry as Pennywise.
And I'm glad you said that. That way I don't have to go into it later. But yeah, Bill Skarsgård did a very good job as Pennywise. But Tim Curry can't touch that.
Tim Curry's a great actor.
Less makeup, less special effects.
But that voice.
10 times more terrifying. And those eyes.
When he's up there doing that thing in that library.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
God. And man, let me tell you something about it. That cast is the original cast with John Ritter.
Harry
Henderson. Harry Anderson. I love it. Harry Anderson was a real magician.
Well,
also.
he was. If you go back and you look at that, all of those
John
actors,
Boy from the Walton.
Well, they were all from TV shows because Harry Anderson from Night Court,
Mm-hmm.
John Ritter from Three's Company, Tim Reed from WKRP.
Yeah.
That was Venus Flytrap, and then John Boyd, and yeah, it
That's a great cast.
perfectly
dude.
cast. Yeah, perfectly cast.
I mean, the original it was our nightmares as a kid, you know, and how it came on, the miniseries came on, and that
Two
little
nights.
girl is that little girl's looking and the camera's coming at her.
How old
man.
were you?
4 or
That was
5.
1990. All right.
I was 4, right in there.
I was 10, and I watched the first night because it was split up in 2 nights. I watched the first night, and I was so traumatized that I didn't even watch the second. I didn't see it until it came out on video. The
The
second part.
ending to the first night when the wife goes in there and sees the dude with his wrist cut,
Yes.
and her
Yes.
reaction.
Yeah.
That's a heck of an acting moment from that woman.
Well, my little 10-year-old
Sheer terror.
self said,
I'm done.
"I'm out."
I tap.
Yeah. You know,
But that
4th grade, Mrs. Barnes. Yeah.
Seth Green
Seth Green.
was in the next night.
Jonathan Brandis. was
Yeah.
also
Oh
in
man,
that
he was
as
he was
well.
a talent. I
Yeah.
like Brandis.
The young cast was great
Yeah.
as well.
He
Yeah.
was on Sidekicks with Chuck Norris. I don't know if you ever seen that. or
I
not.
did.
Loved Sidekicks.
Yeah, Joe Piscopo.
Yes, always. When I was younger, I thought it was McDonald, Happy Gilmore's Shooter McGavin.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he always thought that. Yeah, not to get
Christopher
off.
McDonald.
Christopher
Yeah.
McDonald. I don't know. I was going to call him Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers.
Yeah.
I can't forget my love anymore.
Yeah. Regulators mount up.
Yeah, but man, not to get off course. Stephen
Yeah, a little
King.
bit.
I'm gonna pass the baton over here to Jerry and let him give his number 1.
We've been talking about him. My number 1 is Stephen King because we were talking about actors, directors, writers, and when I think of my lifetime at least, the most important person in horror, whether it be literature, whether it be film, whatever, it's Stephen King. And I was born in 1980, so his movies, again,
Staple.
Silver Bullet.
Oh God.
You said Maximum Overdrive, Carrie,
Cujo.
The Shining, Cujo, Christine.
Carrie's one of the scariest movies ever.
Christine.
The original
John
Carrie.
Carpenter directed that. And then later on, Stephen King is one of those guys that never becomes unpopular.
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, and they mangled it. It wasn't his story, but I mean, you go into the '90s, Misery,
Oh shoot.
Pet Cemetery, The Dark Half, The
Stand.
The mini, and I think that is
Village
his-
of the Damned. Was it? No, that
No, that was Lovecraft.
Okay.
But The Stand, not this crappy one that Amber Heard was in, unfortunately, but the original 1994 miniseries with Gary Sinise and Molly Ringwald. It was great, you know, and he even did a remake of The Shining, a miniseries.
Stand By Me.
Stand By Me. A lot of people. That's another thing too. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of people don't realize that Stephen King, to me, the master of horror, and I'm going to go so far as to say it. My wife tells me that's a bold statement. I think he's the greatest author that we've ever seen.
I'm getting ready to throw you a curveball.
Period. Well,
do you know that Running Man was based on a Stephen King
yes,
story?
I do. Yes, I do. Yes,
And that's
I do.
one of my favorite action movies ever.
Well, it was changed. It was kind of like the Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, they
it
flipped
was
it
changed
around
a
a
lot.
lot.
Yeah, but
But it was based on one of Stephen King's
yeah,
stories.
it was. And one of my favorite Stephen King stories is he met a woman in a grocery store, and she said, "I don't like those scary stories that you write. I like things like The Shawshank Redemption."
Little did she know.
And he said, "Okay, well, what else? I like things like The Green Mile." He wrote both of those. The guy doesn't just write horror. You said Stand By Me. That's based on a short story called The Body. And if you really go back and look at it, you would be hard-pressed to name a Stephen King story that wasn't made into a movie
Yeah.
instead of ones that were. And
Played a cameo in a lot of them, too.
He
What
did.
about Creepshow when he was...
Again.
The moss took over his body and
yeah.
stuff.
Well, George Romero, who
I'd say they were
really
good
is
buddies.
a guy that needs
Should have
to-
been on one of these.
Yes, a guy that should be. He invented the zombie,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, to me, horror in the last at least 50 years, Stephen King has been at the forefront of
The master
all
of horror.
it. The master of
Master
horror.
of horror. And I'll agree with that.
If there
man.
was a Mount Rushmore, and you don't put that guy's face on it,
He would be on top.
I would say you don't know what you're talking about.
So we basically just announced him the horror heavyweight champion.
In my opinion,
Mine too.
Yeah.
But
And he's the guy. Like if you said you can meet one dude,
that's who
who is it? Stephen King, without a doubt.
They're Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn. That's another one. Yeah, we could sit here all night. I mean,
Our battery will do. Our space will
everything
go.
the guy wrote ended up being a movie, just about. And if it didn't, they're probably working on it.
Stephen King is your number one, right?
That's without a doubt,
Okay.
undisputed number one.
Undisputed. So when I thought about this, I was like, how will I do this? Because I wanted Gunnar Hansen and the Leatherface character kind of in on this. So I'm going to go Gunnar Hansen / Leatherface character, the original grandfather of slashers, Gunnar Hansen. And you know how you were talking about meeting Robert Englund, dude?
Yeah.
I got to meet Gunnar Hansen in 2012
Yeah.
and Marilyn Burns
Great
before
pictures.
they passed away.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're no longer with us.
No, and
That's
the good
right.
Lord seen fit that Adam, you need to get up there and see them. You really do. And he got me up there, and I talk. You know how I am, man. I talk to everybody. I mean, when we go to these conventions, it's like talking to Garrett at work or something. I talk to these guys, and just when I was in the presence of Gunnar Hansen, I was for the first time. I was kind of like, I don't know how to act.
What do I say?
Yeah, because I mean, it wasn't like he had a line from here to Happy Mart. He had just a few guys there. Yeah, that's retro.
Yeah.
So I was like, Lindsay's like, go over here. She was
Yeah.
like, go over there and get his autograph and talk to
Same
him.
thing with Robert Englund. Natalie had to kind of push me.
And she, gosh almighty, I love her so much for getting this picture. But I was standing there and I was like talking to him, and I picked the picture out for Max. I let Max pick the picture out. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something we'll always look back on. And I mean, he just picks 2 or 3. But I asked him a few things, and then I was like, man, I won't bother you no more. And he's like, no, I understand,
Yeah.
anything. And there was nobody around. And finally, I told Lindsay, after meeting R.A. Mahaloff, a good friend of mine, played
Another
Leatherface in
Leatherface,
part 3.
yeah.
I said, I feel like I need to go back over there.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, go on. There ain't hardly anybody over. So I went and like kneeled down beside his table, and he was telling me about how he got cast. And he said that there was a guy that was drunk, that they had got the original
The
guy.
hitchhiker?
No, not Ed Neal. But the guy that they originally hired for Leatherface was held up drunk in a motel and wouldn't come out.
And he went on to be Bruce Campbell.
Yeah. But Gunnar Hansen, Toby Hooper, he told me a story how Toby said, are you crazy? And he said, no. He said, do you have thoughts about killing people? And he's like, no. He's like, well, can you act crazy? I said, oh yeah, I can do that. That ain't no problem.
Yeah.
And that was just such a good little story.
Mosley.
Now Mosley, I mean, these guys, but the way he played Leatherface, man, was unlike the rest of the takes on the character.
Yeah.
When you watch him, I mean, he went and studied. I think his nephew had now that was Edwin Neal, the hitchhiker.
Yeah.
That was talking about his nephew had schizophrenia, and
Yeah.
he based his character on him. Gunnar went to an asylum, not an asylum,
Psychiatric
yeah,
hospital.
for mentally challenged.
Yeah.
And he studied how they walked, and he
Yeah.
studied how they acted and communicated, and that was how he become Leatherface.
Yeah.
Because his older brothers, the cook and the hitchhiker, he was basically their enforcer, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
the hitchhiker would take up for him with the cook, and the cook was kind of the disciplinarian.
Yeah.
They were just 3 older brothers, and Toby Hooper, he's another one.
He's great,
think
man.
about his. I'll get off.
Poltergeist.
Well, he did the Freddy backstory for Freddy's Nightmares.
Yes,
he
he
directed the pilot, dude.
Yeah. The first time we
And
saw
it was good.
Yes, it was.
It was
very
good.
It was very good. I love Toby Hooper.
I do too.
Life Force.
He's an underrated horror director.
You remember Life Force?
I don't think so.
Oh man, that's a great Toby. It's like a space vampire
Toolbox
movie.
Murders.
A lot of people don't know about it, but yeah, a great movie.
Life Force. Remember that, guys. But Gunnar Hansen, laid out that character for other actors to take and put their spin on, which a lot of them done wonderful.
Yeah.
I could give a shout out to Dan Yeager.
Yes.
And Mark Burnham, who just done the recent one in 22.
Yeah.
I thought those guys paid great homage and tribute to that character that Gunnar did. I know Dan Yeager loves Gunnar Hansen. I mean,
Yeah.
I've talked to Dan Yeager several times, and I was like, when I first talked to him, I was like, hey, what was your inspiration? And he's like, man, I ripped Gunnar Hansen off the best I could. And he
Well,
nailed
I
him.
mean, that's what you should do.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know, so there's no shame in that.
But all these other guys that played it, they did wonderful in their own right. I've got a soft spot for them all. You know, Andrew Bernarski kind of turned into a vicious killer.
Yeah.
R.A. was just like a fed up, rebellious teenager.
Berdarsky kind of went the Kane Hodder route.
Yeah, he went the more vicious, violent,
Yeah.
you know. But this is so real. He did so good. He was so realistic, man. That
there was something behind the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, you just got to watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, yes, obviously you can tell, but
Yeah.
Gunnar Hansen / Leatherface.
Chainsaw and Dave.
Yeah, Summer School. Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. But it's gonna do it for me.
You know what? Before you end though, when I met Robert Englund, it was just me and my wife.
Yeah.
And you talking about Max. Robert Englund's going to be at the Scarefest, for those of you that don't know, in Lexington this year. And you said Max was around 2 years old.
Yeah.
So my little girl's going to meet Robert Englund this
At
year.
that age.
And I cannot wait for it.
You know what? That's the best film.
And
as a
her
dad
name
is Alice.
Is Alice. So, yeah. And Lisa Wilcox is going to be there. That's even better.
They're having a huge Nightmare.
Yeah.
And Friday the 13th Part 3 reunion, which is
Yeah.
my favorite, Friday the 13th. They're going to have some of the girls.
Part 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tracy Savage is going to be there.
Yeah.
The hippies in the van.
Yeah.
Shelley, the guy that
yes.
had the mask.
Yeah,
that
where Jason got the mask.
I wish I would have got to meet Richard Brooker because he was my favorite Jason. I mean, I love that.
Kane is mine.
I love Kane Hodder, and he's an icon. He could have been on this list.
He very well
Bill Moseley could have been. I mean, there's.
Yeah. Well, we only picked 3 and an honorable mention. I mean,
Right.
neither one of us said Vincent Price.
I mean, we had talked about it.
And we did, yeah. I mean, Roddy McDowell.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many. Oh, man. I mean, we could be here all night, but the battery will not allow it.
Well, the battery will. It's the space. So what we're going to do is we're going to thank you guys for tuning in because Jerry has been working his butt off, Peach Orchard. I've been on
Mountaintop Media,
I've
103.1.
I've
I
been
come
at
on after KSR.
Shelbyana. I mean, we've been working hard trying to get this flood under control.
Thank you guys for that, by
Hey,
the way.
thank you for supplying us truck drivers with some good tunes to jam out to as we're delirious and sleep deprived and everything else.
Teamwork.
We're in no shape,
No.
like compared to some people, man. But
Yeah.
like I said, thoughts and prayers with the flood victims.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it's unlike anything we've ever seen here, man.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, share. I can't stress that enough.
Yes.
I think we've got 60 subscribers right now. We want more.
Yeah.
And we're going to get more. But on behalf of Mr. Mayhem and Adam Wilde, Adam Human Horror Movie, I've got more.
Monday night, series finale. Best show on TV. Better Call Saul, AMC. Don't miss it.
Well, that's going to end it for us. Better call Saul. Better end this before the battery dies or the space. Thank you guys for tuning in as always, and we will see you